You know, it's beginning to make sense why Tinubu is campaigning ahead of 2027 election. Because right now, we can't say that Tinubu government is the best. But instead of them trying to fix their tenure, they are busy pursuing for the next election. Just take a listen at this video and let me get your views in the comment section.
The way and manner we separate politics from governance in Nigeria is mechanical. They're interwoven at every point in time. The system is a presidential system. We borrowed this thing from somewhere. It's not organic. It's not part of the autochthonous community's sense of civilizational evolution to say this is where we are in terms of our democracy. We took it from the Americans. From the day you're sworn in, Trump or Biden, you start campaigning for the next election. For the midterm, it's perpetual campaign. It doesn't mean that when they're campaigning, there shouldn't be governance, policy implementation, policy enunciation, debate over policies. But here, because we have a set of rules and regulations, this is the day you start this one, you do the primary election, you leave the ban on campaigning, we do whatever we can to respect that until it is changed, to ensure that every day, every minute, the domain or site of politics is full of contestation. You cannot bridge it and hold it back and say, wait until some certain days or weeks or months before you start. That doesn't happen. But the second angle to it, the second perspective is that the chairman of INEC should be courageous enough to call a spade a spade. He should look at the president of the country, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and say, Mr. President, you erred with your team, with the presidency, with your party. You jumped the gun, and others followed. They were doing a slate of mobilization and endorsement across the north. There was one in the northwest, none in the north central, not one in the northeast, where even the name of the VP was taken away from the list of those to be endorsed openly. In the glare of the public, there was even an endorsement inside the villa. When the president, who ought to man the space of governance and obey the law with his team, let the cat out of the bag, jumped the gun, because he panicked in a way, the rest of the political class will not fold their arms. They will join the fray. So, INEC may have to bring other facts by cautioning the president of the country, the presidency, his party APC, to give this piece a chance in terms of politicking and focus on governance. If you don't focus on governance and policy implementation, politicians are bound to seize the moment and seize the day and plan for 2027.
You're saying it's fair game at this point?
That he has made it a fair game. Because you see, if you have the calculus that you want to prepare for 2027 for leisurely re-entry, that means emasculate the political class, dismember the existing political parties, ruin the infrastructure of liberal democratic governance, and then repress multi-party democracy. It makes it easy for you to re-enter 2027. That's what they're doing. Politicians on the other side must resist it. Must say PDP must be reborn, rebetted, regenerated. ADC must find its footing and bearing in order to survive. Labour Party have to find its own direction here and there. The moment they start doing that, the system, of course, will be heated up. The heating up didn't start from the opposition ranks. It started from the ranks of APC, the president of the country, and the presidency.
What about the cost on the polity, on governance? Because the trade-off is that the administration becomes too distracted that governance suffers.
Deliberately, the administration distracted itself on two scores. When they have very little to offer, you find something else to distract the people. In terms of policy implementation, policy enunciation, this government came with too broad macroeconomic strokes. Subsidy is gone on day one. Weeks later, Naira floated. These shocks have not abated. It has led to incremental growth of multidimensional poverty. It has led to depreciated living standard of the people. It has ruined so many homes. It has rendered people pauperized. It has even increased insecurity. The moment you know that these policies, which are neoliberal policies, forced upon us from outside, are not working, you must find a way to breathe easy. That is campaigning, going towards 2027. That's why I said that the presidential team panicked in the sense that the policies are not working. As many of these policies have been thrown all over the place, but they're not sticking well. If you ask around their four key domains or sites of life, security, apparatus or infrastructure or architecture, how far is it? Northeast, north central, northwest, southeast. How is it going? Not well at all. Welfare of the people, prosperity of the people, transportation, education cost, and so on, living standard, cost of food, staple food, and so on. Not pretty picture. Health-wise, not pretty picture. So ultimately, what you have to do is to shift the campaign, the debate, away from policies that have failed or failing into focus.
You think the verdict is out already on the Tinubu reform?
There's nothing this government can do to change to 2027, because ultimately by 2026, second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, the primaries of all the parties will take place. The candidates who will face off against him will emerge. Campaign will start whether INEC likes it or not. That's what's going to happen. He needed 2 years, solid 2 years, to avoid politics and govern. He didn't get the 2 years because he decided to throw this 2027 transitional politics into the ring, and politicians accepted it with glee. So the blame should clearly focus on the government of the day that should have been consistent with bringing up pro-people policies and programs that will uplift the living standard of the people, attenuate poverty, lead to incremental growth of national prosperity, capacity, building in terms of our industrial production, naira strengthening. Again, most crucially, the removal of subsidy with all the billions now released. What's the impact on the life of the people? The country is still borrowing aggressively, much more than before in our history. So if you put all these pictures together, they're not pretty. The pretty thing for the president to do is to do what? Begin campaigning well ahead of time. I said it on many other studios. The government panicked, especially because the signals coming from the north were not pretty good signals. The idea for the president is that if we paralyze, pulverize, and neutralize the political south as the only standing force, then he can levy political war on the north. But if you have a President Jonathan from President Jonathan or P2B coming on board to dismember the South and break that unity into pieces by isolating the president and his team to the Milokun section of the South, that means the Southwest, liberating the Southeast and the South for the other two, or one of them, it means the North will now settle the score for two certain brothers in a very, very strong, robust political context. Because of that reason, he needed to re-engineer the North. The first part of the engineering was really sure the vice president. I won't stop at that. If they've had their way and less noise was made, possibly a Shetima of the Northeast could have been sacrificed for somebody of the Northwest. That means shifting from the Kanuri corridor. They may claim the corridor has only two potent states, Borno and Yobe, to the Fulani corridor, which has a lot more states. Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, okay, right down to Jigawa, Kano, etc.
Is that your guesstimate?
The point is that politics is a game of number.
Right.
At the end of the day, what is concealed in the dark will be revealed in the day. The president is going to be renominated by his party, and he's going to choose a running mate. It's either he retains the vice president or he shifts the ground.
If he won with Shetima, albeit a close call, why do you think he would want to change the winning formula?
It wasn't even a close call. I said it was like a disastrous victory if he can use such a time. When he scored 37% over 100, that's not a close call. The other parties lost. He didn't win. If you combine the votes of PDP and Labour,
elections are zero-sum, aren't they?
That's 63% of the vote. That's almost a compact majority. That's a minority president, a minority victory. So he actually lost in terms of the number, in terms of the arithmetic of it. And that is because he was not even known. Check history. Obama did very well in 2008 because he said, yes, we can. The fire, the spirit of audacity, that charisma carried him through. 2012, he did very poorly because they've seen him for 4 years and said, he's a regular politician like the rest of them. Buhari came. Mr. Stop corruption, stop indiscipline. So, second, was much more difficult. Jonathan, even former President Jonathan, shoeless, breath of fresh air, not a typical politician. He did it. Second term, he conceded. So this president will not do as well in 2027 as he did in 2023. Something rubs off you, except your achievement is spectacularly exaggerated or extravagant.
And you don't think Tinubu would survive a referendum in 2027?
He can see that 27 will be a referendum on his own governance. It will be a promise of a better tomorrow. He just said, for 4 years, he gave it to me. I removed subsidy, life is better for you. I floated in Naira, everything is fine. Education is good, transportation is nice. The money I've given to the workers is solving their problems. These things can be said because people say, hello, This is alternate universe, or alternate truth. We know the reality of the day. People are hurting. How do you think a man who not only won 2023 will win 2027 when there's nothing to run on?
Right, let's talk about that political map that you talked about. The South, for instance. The talk of former President Goodluck Jonathan coming back into the arena. Peter Obi already, Nigerians get the feeling that he is going to be in the race, right? Talk to me about how some say we're witnessing a remaking of the political map, especially in the southern part of the country. The APC has made some inroads there, albeit through defections of some governors in the southeast and now in the south-south. And they are concerned that some of them will actually still join the APC before the end of the year. What are your theories about what's happening in the southern part of the country about 2027?
Now, quickly, before I dive into this matter, 2023, a certain P2P took the brand of a very small party, typically unknown, called Labour Party. No infrastructure. I don't used to use the corrupt term structure. No infrastructure, mean deeply embedded apparatus that can mobilize people for you, protect your vote, what they call mandate protection, canvas for you, interlinkages, networking ability and so on. And then political godfathers and godmothers and goduncles and cousins there to work for you. He smashed through the entire Southeast. He beat everybody. None of the other candidates scored 25%. Maybe in one state, I don't know. South, he did extraordinarily very well. That means capturing governors or senators or getting them to defect will not solve your problem. Because this is not organic. You are picking them from the top, but the mass base is still intact, raring to go, bitter, angry, disenchanted and discontented. If you add the Jonathan mix, that's a phenomenon. 11 years ago, late Senator Ifeanyi bettered or founded TAN, Transformation Ambassadors of Nigeria. I was a spokesperson of that TAN. I was the face of that TAN. What was the mission of TAN? That Jonathan has done well in the first term. Nigerians now demand he should do a second term. 11 years later, there's a clarion call that the man who picked up the phone and called his opponent, I lost, you won, congratulations. And for 10 years, built up an incredible stature as a global leader, as a statesman. Is being pressed upon by people, by very powerful individuals, that the country is hurting. We're on the edge of the precipice. We need you to come and salvage this country. Whether he answers the call is a different matter, but if he does, he reshapes the politics of the nation. One of many scores. The North that rejected him 2015 seemed to be, from my conversations with a lot of the leaders in the North, that we made a mistake in that rejection. Maybe it was just a moral code in terms of the zoning thing. But you can see what they did with the marginal education, with the TAM, we did with the inclusive governance model. Chairman of the party was from the North. The chairman of the INEC chairman from the North. His principal secretary has him took over from the North. His national advisor, someone that's from the North. You don't have that anymore under Buhari and Tinubu. You find a president who was able to build consensus among all the major and the smaller groups in the country, and it grew the economy to the biggest in Africa. And even for Boko Haram, they stand still. So that nostalgic feeling that he should come and save this country is growing. And if he does, I can bet you the North will heave in a tectonic shift away from everybody.
Does Jonathan still have some political currency to leverage? Someone's saying...
That's the currency I'm giving you. From the North alone.
Someone's saying, he's lost his position. He's lost the momentum. There's still that nostalgia, but he might have lost his touch.
It's not the nostalgia. It is real. When you have a president, a country that is growing in stature, economy that is booming, people that are prosperous, then that becomes mere nostalgia. But when you find an economy that is tanking, when you find people that are hurting, when you find multidimensional poverty and denuded living as the order of the day, people will remember those days in which the naira was $1 to 200 or thereabout, in which the economy was the biggest in Africa, in which a lot of attention was paid to the youth, in which security was even taken seriously, in which there was inclusion in governance. Not this kind of a local, kind of insular, narrow, regionalist mindset of supremacist and hegemonic politics. So the big deal for Jonathan, and most crucially, let's be practical about it, he has only one time. That is key for the North, because 2031, there won't be any argument. That's why Peter B was very quick to say, right, I have one term to do, even if you give it to me. Because we know that morally, the very imperative that will drive political success is to say, 2023 to 2031 is the turn of the South. 2031 onwards is the turn of the North. Jonathan taking this plunge will be a game changer. P2B taking the plunge and getting the nod of the major party is a game changer. Within the PDP, you can see the work being done there. The chairman of the Governors Forum, the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, had led the charge to rebuild and reform and retool the party in that direction. Successful convention November, Jonathan will be in the mix, Bola Tinubu is toast.
Right. Let's take a look at that picture one more time. It was taken earlier today. In fact, this is former governor of Anambra State in a handshake with former President Goodluck Jonathan. Earlier in the day, he said that, quote, they had a robust, fruitful, closed-door meeting and discussed the state of Nigeria. And of course, it's a known fact that P2B has a lot of respect and admiration for former President Goodluck Jonathan. But there's a big question about who steps down for whom.
Oh, it is not it's not in my place.
Right. But what do you think about that being...
My duty as an analyst, as a student of power and politics in Nigeria, is to watch data like this, to see that picture, not speculation, that P2B went to see the former president. His former boss in a way. He was the honorary advisor on finance and economy 2013, 14, 15. He was the deputy campaign manager of his campaign 2015. He was even the running mate to Atiku 2019. So he's very closely associated with PDP. That's the last president of PDP.
But there's a lot of talk, Prof, about what could go wrong if both individuals decide to throw their hats in the ring.
Do you know why I talked about the president and his team getting the plot wrong and panicking? PDP will do convention in November. ADC may do a convention sometime around November, December, thereabout. From the INEC timetable, the presidential primaries will be July, August 2026. That is 1 year. It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime and enough time to sort out these issues. Who goes, who doesn't go? Which platform or not platform? The time is not upon us yet. What upon us now is to ensure that these incredibly resourceful individuals, the former president, the disruptive leader of the Biden movement, and then a reborn in the PDP, are all there witching. And even to an extent, a reborn ADC with a new life given them by INEC there, will be there to shepherd opposition politics that the president and his team never thought would happen. The idea was that these parties will collapse before 2026, 27. It is not happening. By 2026 primary elections there will be one or two other robust parties ready and waiting to snatch power away from the president and his team 2027.
Right. There are a lot of people in the southern part of the country who are against the idea of P2B or even former President Goodluck Jonathan being in the contest. One of the most profound voices is the current minister of the FCT, who still has, some level of influence, or dare I say control, over the PDP. What do you think about people like that who are outrightly advocating and campaigning for the president's re-election, still having some sort of influence in the main opposition party like the PDP?
The PDP, like every other political party, is composed of interlocking structures, or interdependent structures, with close affinities. The leading one there is the Governors Forum, because of the space and power and influence the governors occupy. The chairman is Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. That engine room of party revival is insulated and inoculated from any of this matter you're talking about. That's the most important. The second one is the NWC. Had some issues in the past 1.5 years, but now reborn. They are together. That's why they were able to sign off on the convention with ease, with everybody in sync. Not to please the president, not to please anybody that pleases the president, but ensure that the party is a formidable autonomous entity that is going to give the president and his team a run for the money. The third one is the board of trustees, headed by Senator Mwabara. That is in sync with the Governors Forum, in sync with the NWC. So in that sense, the dominant tendencies in the party are working towards the actualization of an independent party apparatus that is going to either we have Sheyi Makinde there as a second-term governor. He happy to be a former aspirant. He happy to be President Jonathan, a former president of the party panel. That is the picture, not painted by me, but by reality. Secondly, other entities in the South who are urging for certain solidarity. are those who are benefiting from the misgovernance of the current government, of those who are part of the Milokun, spirit of this is our turn. Ogun State, for example, has 4 or 5 ministers. Fact check me on this. Entire Southeast has 5 ministers. There's no Southern solidarity in that matter. The 3 domains of hegemony, presidential power, economy, and security apparatus, all confiscated by one entity. That entity doesn't represent the Igbo, Efik, Ijaw, and the BPO. It represents only one dimension. People increasingly, I don't know whether it is true, could be speculation, that the language in the villa now, people know what it is. The language in the central bank, people know what it is. The language in NNPC and language in immigration and the language in customs, they know what it is. That's narrow language. So even when if Sheyi Makinde were to do well in the primaries, he's going to bring that spirit that is known in the Southwest, progressive, inclusive spirit, not a Milokun spirit, that is regionalist, hegemonic in contents, insular, and parapoic in orientation.
Right. I mean, I wish I can understand that less
Don't you know what you call Barakboism? When you're in university, Barakbo means your village assembly.
Right.
Whenever I have, like, for a year from, say, a village in Kogi or whatever there, and they hold the meetings there. So you find this presidency is a Barakboic presidency, a presidency of me, I, myself, and my people. Right. Takes things from the rest of the people, even in the South.
I'm sure the presidency would disagree with your submission there.
He can't disagree with, excuse me, please. Yeah. This is not something we are doing because we love to do it. When you have, I say, the 3 domains of hegemony, I told you the Jonathan presidency, press secretary, Hassan Tuko, chief of staff at the time was Ogadiome. At the time was from the late, General Arobofa, forgotten his name, from Ondo State or thereabout. The National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, INEC chairman from the north.
Tinubu would say the same. He has the NSA from Adamawa State.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I know. But if you look at inside the villa itself now, the forces there, if you take the security apparatus, take the army chief, to the degree even that an army chief was abroad for a long period of time, we have a country suffused with generals. Suddenly a new term emerged, acting army chief. From the same stock. He's never done in the army. No, he's not done in the army. You have the police. You have the DSS. All in one army. Then you have the Minister of Finance, you have the FIRS, you have the Customs, you have the Central Bank. It's not something Udenta is saying. That is the truth.
All right.
If you don't balance this thing, it will haunt you. So what he needs to do at this stage is to retool that government apparatus. Because in every village, I told some other people, I have close to 20, 30 professors in my village. Up to 100 PhD holders, engineers and doctors and so on. So don't tell me because they have your people, they are important, they are gifted. Right. There are people gifted across the country. All right. Balance this thing. Obasanjo did it in 1999.
All right, let's segue a little bit because, I mean, the presidency has shared a lot of data around how fairly balanced the administration is.
We know the data there. There's a job you give somebody, and you give the group, you say, give me this job, take 40 of the other one. We understand all that.
Okay.
You can't confuse anybody with data.
All right. You talk about Peter Obi and former President Goodluck Jonathan and how they do have a good chance of upsetting the Tinubu re-election bid. What about what's happening with the ADC? What about Atiku Abubakar? Now, where does he fit into your calculations?
Now, let me put it this way. And I want you to organize a town hall, a bigger gathering or forum. That Bala Mohammed said, I will not contest for the presidency with the apparatus I have and the infrastructure I built because I want this moral clarity to give it to the South. Is a very important reason. Strategic reason too is that if you have a Southerner as a president for 4 years, you have to have a Southerner because it becomes increasingly difficult for a Northerner to win. You know why? The president and his team, they have weaponized the South. If you have anybody, I don't want to call him from the North, I don't know the state in the South where he will secure 10% of the vote, given the national climate. So if you don't have 10% of any of the vote in the South...
I don't think his electoral track record shows that?
I said because it's clear, because we're looking at the geography. Southwest, where is going to get it? Southeast with Obi and Jonathan, we will get it. There's no way. It doesn't exist. only in the figment of anybody's imagination. So if you are denied 25% in 17 states and you do the repeat election 34,000 times, you will never win. In a sense, no northerner given today's environment will win election in this country with the presidency. I want that debate.
In 2027?
2027, I want that debate orchestrated. Right. But you can see a southerner, Whoopi did it. Not only did he well in the south, he did well in the so-called middle belt. Did well in FCT, did well in Nasarawa, Plateau, Benue. So there are many segments of the north where a certain president, a certain candidate like Obi or Jonathan, we do well. But it's going to be difficult for a northerner now, given it's a turn of the south, to do even well in one state of the south.
All right. Finally, before we go, your analysis on the possible outcome of the next general election seemed to me more like a prophecy than a prediction. Why are you so confident that Tinubu will lose in 2027?
My take is simple. If the president just managed to speak through 2023, when it was almost an unknown at the presidential level of power, not the regional level of power, and experience in history has shown that president dropped 2, 3, 4 points from where they were when they came in. Jonathan did, Buhari did, Obasanjo did, Obama did, everybody did. Even Trump lost second time. There is no way he will do better with the state of the economy and the state of insecurity and the state of poverty. So what we're saying is that the moral clarity, that imperative force that impelled President Jonathan in 2015 to pick up the phone, call Buhari and say, I lost, you won, congratulations. President Bola Tinubu should pick up that phone, either to Jonathan or P2B, and say, I lost, you won, congratulations.
All right.
This man just said, as it is. Truth be told, Tinubu shouldn't be campaigning for the next election. One is because his tenure have not even provided or done anything better than the past administration. Two, according to law, you are not to campaign. You have to campaign 150 days before the election. But in Nigeria, where our own leaders are the ones failing, and then you don't expect others to obey the law, where our own leaders are the ones failing the law, because it makes no sense how Tinubu should be failing the law, and then you expect others to follow suit. That's why you can't blame P2B, you can't blame any other candidate that is campaigning right now, because where our own president is campaigning ahead of the next election, despite not doing well in his first tenure. So I wonder how he expects to win the next tenure, where his first tenure was not, like he didn't do in the first tenure. This can only happen in Nigeria. And let's not be shocked if Tinubu wins again come 2027. Despite all the failed government, failed policies, he might still emerge the winner. It's because this can only happen in Nigeria, where people don't even want saving because of bribery and corruption. How much is that? Where we went to do protests for a bad government to go, some people went ahead to collect bribe to do an anti-protest for the government to stay. So who is doing who? That's the question. We Nigerians are not even ready yet for a better Nigeria, and P2B is basically himself trying to pull up a better Nigeria, whereas we don't even want a better Nigeria. But what do you think about this video from Professor Udenta? But to me, I think this is among the wise video I've seen so far about Tinubu government, because you can't be campaigning for the next election, whereas your first tenure you didn't do well. Your first tenure still have 2 years to complete, but yet you are still campaigning for the next election. So what guarantee are you giving people that are going to do well in the next tenure, whereas your first tenure you didn't do well? But let me get your own views in the comment section. I'll see you guys in my next video.